Moses was a statistician. He was a statistician, the first. He didn't even have the word for it, and he figured it out. What a genius. Then Jesus came along, and he revised everything. He simplified it like Steve Jobs. It's crazy what these guys did. They didn't even have technology, or they didn't have the vocabulary of economics, psychology, media. They didn't have all that stuff, and they pieced it together. Moses spent 40 years wandering the desert, and while he was doing that, he came up with 613 commandments. That was his crack at coming up with a perfected system. Jesus comes along and says, yeah, those all apply, right? But really, all you need to know is love God with all your heart and treat, your neighbor exactly like you treat yourself, which means like at the same level, right? You're gonna take yourself out to a steak dinner and you want to buy someone, like a hot dog on the street. It's like, dude, take them to steak dinner instead, right? But if you don't do hot dog, or you don't do steak dinners, then you take them for a hot dog. It's no big deal. But just do what you would normally do for yourself. Do it to them or for them. The point is that Moses, he spent 40 years and he comes up with these rules in his best guess. And in terms of guess, they were inspired by God, absolutely. But he didn't have the resources that we have now. So when we really look at this, we can use our knowledge of statistics and all the other social and I guess even natural sciences and prove that these guys were the real deal. Simple. And the thesis is this: if you are operating perfectly in this system, you don't die. And I know it sounds crazy, but because none of us are operating in that perfect system, that's why we have this thing called death. And once we beat this death thing, then we all spend the rest of the 1,000 years painting the universe with just human beings, because we're all alone. Earth is the only thing with living organisms, so we're all alone, and we're going to colonize and explore, and it's going to be awesome. And then once we're done, we perfect everything because we're all geniuses. We're made in God's image, and He wants to help us, be our best possible sort of selves. What happens then is we all get bored, and we're like, well, now we need a game. And what's the game? Well, let's reset and start the game from the beginning, and let's see if these people can figure it out. And here's the goal. The goal of the game is this: you want to experience the burning something. Moses got the burning bush. That's where God was like, over the last 80 years, Moses, you've done it right, so boop, and he tapped him. And I explained what my burning was. My burning was the burning bathroom. And it put the fear of God in me, just like with Moses. I dropped to my knees exactly like Moses did, period. And that's the goal. So once you experience that, then you're like ranked number 3, right? And then the next person who gets to experience that, you're ranked 4. And you're gonna have to explain it to me. I wanna know how it feels, because if you can't explain it, then you didn't experience it. But if you explain it, then you'll know exactly, hey, we're not alone. Now that may beckon the question of like, oh, well, what is God? God is, whatever God is totally, God, you're never going to figure it out. I'm telling you, when you feel that feeling, you're going to understand, oh my God, whatever that was is so powerful. It's insane. But you don't have to worry about it because we're too busy. We're going to be too busy here partying. It's going to be one big party. It's going to be amazing. And it's going to be awesome. So anyway, that's how the system works. Moses was a genius. Good work, Moses. And Jesus too. You're a genius. Oh, and Muhammad too. He had all his rules as well. He was doing the same thing Moses did. Instead of simplifying, he got more specific. Genius. You had to take it one of two directions. Either from Moses, you make it more rigid. Rigid is the wrong word, but more rules. Or Jesus is like fewer rules. But the thing is, you need Moses to start out. Moses is like your undergraduate degree, and then Jesus rules, the simplified, that's the graduate degree. And Muhammad, he's going down the more rules, and that's good too, because that's what we're going to do when we resurrect the dead. It's like come up with all the rules everyone knows, and it's like kind of 2 + 2 is 4. That's how you communicate with God. Okay, cool. He brings you to your personal heaven on earth. It sounds nuts, but that's the whole system. That's the meaning of life. It's the scroll of David. And I'm the Mashiach. Later.